Hello, I'm Scott Lanningham, and this is Scott Lanningham's Obscure Recordings, where I share obscure recordings that catch my attention. Actually, on this first episode, there just happened to be some LPs that were sitting under my desk that I had not found a place for, and that I had gotten out recently to listen to, again to on the turntable, which really does sound pretty cool. Hearing that needle scratch a little stuff around and just the sound of an analog reproduction system is really something I do miss. Anyway, let's run through them real quick. The Exciting Joe Williams. If any of you have ever had a chance to hear this record, you know it's one of the coolest big band vocal records ever recorded by this man, who recorded a lot of great records. But it was arranged and conducted by Frank Hunter. I don't know who Frank is, but he's very good at what he does because I like this record. It was from the mid '60s, and it featured a all-star L.A. studio musician kind of big band. I think it was put together for this and probably similar recordings. Not a touring big band, but great arrangement, great record. Joe Williams, one of my favorite singers ever. Second record is Jackie Kane and Roy Kral. Actually, here they're referred to as Jackie and Roy Kral. They were going by the married name at that point. Two really neat singers that do some cool stuff together. They sing unison a lot, some harmonies now and then, two-part stuff. This is an album they did with Andre Previn, the great Andre Previn, classical orchestra conductor, composer, jazz pianist, and classical pianist. His wife, Dory Previn, wrote the lyrics to the music that he wrote for much of this record, if not all of it. I can't remember if they did it all, but it's got some really clever tunes on it. It's a fun record, and that's why I've kept a hold of that. And it's also a very interesting, cool cover, especially that's Roy, putting his foot up on the box with his arm resting on his knee like that. I think that's an awfully cool pose. I try to use that one as often as I can. The next album was Johnny Mann Singers, Alma Mater. Johnny Mann had many vocal groups over the years, and this one was an all-male choir singing famous Alma Mater tunes. A beautiful, beautiful recording, very different from the other jazz and swing stuff that I was pointing to. It was a favorite of my father's and my great-grandfather's, and I had a copy for years and it was scratched. Couldn't play it anymore. Found Johnny Mann's email address on the internet and wrote him to ask him if it was released digitally. He said no, but he had a copy in his library of two copies left, and he sent me this one for $25, and he wrote on it, "Best regards, Scott, Johnny Mann." Thought that was pretty cool. Bert Kaempfert's Greatest Hits. I don't listen to this very much. I don't really like Bert Kaempfert very much, but it does have the largest bass drum on a jazz or a swing big band record that I've ever heard. So it may be one of those marching band kick drums, I'm not sure, but it really is big and the drummer uses it a lot. So that's worth checking out if you're into big bass drums. I hate this record. My son gave it to me as a joke. Spandau Ballet, True, one of the jiver tunes of the 80s that I remember. Very Vegas-y kind of singing with some very kind of high school saxophone playing going on it. But, it's still under the desk for some reason. Of course, you all know about Elias Haslanger, Church on Monday, the great band that I play with every Monday at the Continental Gallery, and I'm heading there tonight, so I hope to see some of you there. In the band, Elias Haslanger, with the big name, of course, he is the leader, great saxophone player, great band leader. Dr. James Polk, the wonderful Dr. James Polk, on B3 organ, a Texas legend. It's such a thrill to play with him every week. The fabulous Jake Langley on guitar, who is relatively new to Austin, but really storming the scene and just a great guy and a great musician. Daniel Durham, an extremely talented young bass player that I love to play with, and me on drums. That's our first record, Church on Monday. And of course, if you haven't heard yet, we do have our second CD out, live at the gallery, 4.5 stars on Downbeat. Pretty cool. Anyway, that's the episode of Scott on Obscure Records. These two aren't obscure. Everything else, I guess, is at this point. Anyway, I hope to see you at the gallery.